best of ones they've played, 4 of those best of ones have been on this map, and it is painful to say that we are going back there again. But this game is important, Harrison, for a couple of reasons. Obviously, both of these teams, they're sitting at a turning point in the season. We're halfway through the stage now. West Garfield Park and Aqualix, they are sitting at 6 and 7 on the overall leaderboard, respectively. 12 points for West Garfield, 10 for Aqualix. Both of these teams would love a little 3-point boost today to get them into that upper half of the leaderboard for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, you definitely said it. I mean, now that we're pretty much in the halfway point, points are so important from now on. I mean, every game is important, obviously, in a best-of-1 round robin, but now is when the teams are going to start to realize, guys, we got to buckle down. We need to win the rest of our games if we want to be in, that top 4 position heading into the next stage. Focusing on the operator bans, they are pretty stock standard. The only one that's maybe not as common is the Nomad ban, but, I mean, the fact that it's these 2 teams playing Nomad definitely doesn't surprise me. They are both tend to be kind of in your face. At least West Garfield have been of recent. I have been loving their role changes. West Garfield have been on that up and up, as the analyst desk has kept a little bit to get everyone back in the lobby, because I think someone on Aqualix's Uplay has been a little buggy. But we're in, and the game will resume. Hopefully we don't need any more rehosts. Of course, Jonah, Aqualix starting on the defense, bringing out AVG first, something that was a big focal point. I remember in the Aqualix game yesterday were those main stairs takes. They were not great from either team.
Were Aqualix especially adept at stopping said takes?
Yes and no. I remember at one point, someone on ATK during an off-stream game, someone on ATK ended up just rushing main stairs with sledge shotgun.
Oh my!
And killing the guy playing there. So I mean, throughout their entire history, Aqualix have been very up and down with the main stairs hold, and West Garfield as well, very up and down with the main stairs take. Interesting though that Rudy is going to swap off of, I believe that was a nade operator. I think it was Sledge or something, onto Jackal.
Okay, so bringing out some sort of roam denial here on the attacking side. Useful, especially because we have both Slime and Afer positioned all the way on this master side. They've got a couple of reinforcements in front of them as well to hold this extension for, I suppose, a few seconds, or maybe as long as they can. They don't seem too inclined to back away just yet as West Garfield begin to work their way into the building. A nade here from Barring will get burned out as he works his way in to master itself. Slime and Afer still lurking around. Afer hoping not to get droned out as West Garfield look to figure out what kind of extension they're dealing with.
So I guess now we see that purpose of the Jackal, right? With mute jammers about, with the Vigil scanner. Roamers can be pretty difficult to track down with those drones, so who can aid that? The Jackal. You just scan footprints, and there's really nothing the defenders can do about it unless they're Cav, I guess. But we never see her in competitive. Well, I shouldn't say never. Almost never see her in competitive play because she kind of sucks. But now that the attackers have fully moved in through Master, they're starting to take underneath as well, and the roamers keep falling back more and more. I imagine at some point we'll start seeing the people from West Garfield nading through the floor.
Well, they are trying to get this 90 cross. They do have the cutoff from that 90 window, and now that they have successfully forced these roamers to back to the site, like you said, Harrison, they can take that control all the way up to 90. They've got all of their attackers in the proper position to get something done, and you can see from this top-down view all of those Aqualix outlines as they are positioned on this south side of the map. You've got 3 on the site itself, 1 top main stairs and 1 tucked over in study. That is, again, Afer hoping to be on that Vigil, the player who is a little bit challenging to drone out. So if West Garfield do eventually rotate around to that study side, they could get cut off there. But like you said, the pressure below is now building. A beautiful nade from Valor to kick off the round, gets a kill onto Rice. He'll look for a second, but this one doesn't look like it's going to come up with much. However, it will deny any sort of a mute jammer that was positioned on that wall. So in no time, those X-Kairos pellets can get detonated.
The jammer is also around the side of the wall, like in games itself, which is why you only see some of those X-Kairos being blown up. But hey, I mean, they have a bit of an opening into vault. So they've got a sight line just no entry point. And if that's all they wanted, then hey, they can try shoving that diffuser through the skull doorway and into vault, which is the primary plant spot that we usually see in a take like this. They've also managed to completely circumvent all of that main stairs hold, but Aether, just through the smoke, I presume is going to get a big double kill. Psychosis, another one before there's a double kill from West Garfield to trade. Even man count, but there's Gasher waiting through the smoke to get the reattempt of the plant, and that leaves Barring alone in a 1v2 with no time to play with. 3 seconds remaining, and everyone from Aqualix is playing passive. Well, I say that as Gasher peeks out, but he's not going to die, so no harm, no foul. Aqualix take round number 1.
Yeah, opening round, a patient AVG hold from those last 2 players, just sitting back knowing that Barring simply had no time to get anything done with 10 seconds left. He had to either find a way to get the bomb down, pretty much impossible, or find both of those kills, impossible if Aqualix played it smartly enough, and they did. It started off pretty clean from West Garfield. They worked their way in the map relatively expeditiously, clearing up through 90, but when it came time for that execute, Aqualix, they never overextended themselves. They sat back, they played those trades, and they made sure that if they were taking a gunfight, somebody would be behind them ready to either take that fallen defender's position or take the gunfight right back in response. Became that frag fest that we often see on the site when you cross that 20-second threshold, but West Garfield just not able to fully push in and get the frags they needed, so a good start for the defense.
And not a lot of explosives to deal with either, right? Because Barring used both of his, I think, on the roam clear. Valor used his underneath to clear one of the mute jammers as well as a kill, but in flushing out important anchor positions, there wasn't much. And in doing so, Aqualix were forced to use their smokes to try and cut off lines of sight, disable those crossfires being held from Aqualix. And what was the response? Aether pushed into it. I'm not sure if he got those kills through the smoke, because again, the skull door is a very thin doorway. It's a bottleneck. If you're just spraying bullets wildly, you're bound to hit something. He ended up getting 2 kills. I don't know if he got them through the smoke itself or as West Garfield pushed past the smoke, but either way, Aether was there to stop them, and smokes work both ways. Defense can't see you, but you can't see the defender either. So I really like what how Aether positioned himself in that round. I mean, Aether has been, I would say Aether has been the star performer for AQ thus far this stage, and he's looking to, and they're going to really need him to step up like that in these coming rounds against West Garfield.
Well, this round especially, because West Garfield are throwing out at least one element of a surprise. That is Rudy on the Amaru, positioned right now outside of Astro. That Astro window, currently droning this out for the 2nd time, hoping to make an entry, but right now it's Barring who finds himself in the site. He picks up Gasher as he walks in. Twist follows that up with a kill of his own, and Rudy, as he hops in the window, he takes down Slime, leaving it all on the shoulders of Rice, just like that, in a 1 versus 3. Barring will provide the cutoff while the rest of the team gets over to the site to get something done. Now Rice finds himself in a crossfire, and he is in a load of trouble. On 1 HP, with Twist holding him from Boar, with now 2 players pushing in Statuary. He has got to find some kills with this SMG-11, and yeah, Twist is not going to allow that to happen. A very quick rush attempt from West Garfield. Patience droning it out, but once they found out it was clear, they just sent it in, and it worked.
Aqualix, I guess, too far afield on their roam. We saw a lot of setup being placed over towards the study side of things for an AVG roam. Someone was even downstairs, and I guess West Garfield figured, you know what? If the only people on site are Gasher and Rice, we might as well take the 5v2. Barring was allowed to simply walk into bricks, get his freebie. Rice was trying to hold on, and while he was able to get, I think, a kill or 2 to his name, West Garfield not only established themselves in the site itself, but also prevented the fallback from Aqualix as the roamers attempted to aid their companions on site by defaulting back. West Garfield caught them, either just caught them in the rotation or were holding the angles that Aqualix walked into him. Very well played from West Garfield to answer back to that Aqualix round, and that's, might be, again, just that experience from Bio as an IGL shining through.
Well, that call, we actually saw that, set up even during the prep phase, because, of course, with that 6th pick that we have talked a lot about over the last few weeks, it allows you to make some on-the-fly attacker-operator adjustments. They did that. They brought out the Amaru, and they sat him outside that Astro window, giving him the opportunity to just, use that grappling hook, just rappel in at a moment's notice. And while that play wasn't really the I would say, the spark that lit the fire of that execute, it certainly was impactful, and it was able to get at least one kill. Ended up taking down Slime with that aggressive maneuver from there. It really was Barring, though, who opened up that round just by stepping in through that brick store straight into statuary and taking those fights. But on to round 3 now, we're going to see Barring once again making a pretty aggressive entry, this time on the Ash, trying to track down Slime, who is hoping to slow down these entry players just a little bit.
Looks like he's about to get droned out by Twist. And, oh, wait.
Maybe not.
Did it not turn around? Because Slimy Nick didn't shoot it. I don't think they're aware. Barring is just going to town on the ceiling above him. Slimy Nick could potentially make a monstrous play. There's someone just to his right. That's Twist, the man who himself may have just misdroned this Melusi. But for now, Nick is playing very passive. He doesn't want to spoil his opportunity, you know, just in case he didn't get misdroned. But Twist holding the other angle, he's got no idea. Nick, if you're going to do something, do it now. I mean, obviously, he doesn't have the same kind of info as we do, but as Twist starts to move out of Mudroom, Nick will back off as well. Luckily, Afer's here to spring into action. He'll end up getting that opening pick, but I am a little sad because that pick from Afer might just spoil Nick's play.
Yeah, he likely won't be able to do much else, but still, a lot of pressure being applied. The fact that Nick is still there, Afer was still applying pressure. They have wasted so much time off this clock, and now West Garfield have to find a way to get out of this timing hole that they find themselves in. They do have 1 minute and 10 seconds left on this clock, but Barring still nervous that there could be someone lurking around, while the rest of his team is focused on trying to pressure this bomb site. It's not going to work because Barring is felled. There's Nick who steps up. It's Afer who goes for a double and takes down Valor, leaving Rudy and Bio alone to fend for themselves here. A turn of events really on the shoulders of 2 Aqualix roamers who just tore apart this attack.
And I guess that might be down to the misdrone. Not only not seeing Nick, who ended up getting that kill from the back earlier, but also Afer stepping up and getting a double kill. Just like we talked about in the previous rounds, he has been that driving force, and he looks to continue that. Bio will get 1 pick back for his team onto Psychosis as he walks through the breach and is allowed to retreat back. No trade from Aqualix at all, but they might not be too concerned with it. They're only losing 1 man and are still in a 4 versus 2. And look, they have all turtled up. They are just holding angles. They are not swinging, with maybe the exception of Slimy Nick. Asher holding onto the breach, though, will get full blinded. But Bio, no! Oh, no. What a whiff.
Yeah, he missed.
He had Afer
most of the mag there.
Right there. I mean, Rudy died off screen. There wasn't really a lot of hope for Bio, even if he killed Afer, but that was just sad.
Yeah, not his best moment, but to his credit, or at least something that can soften the blow, is the fact that, well, the attack was really over before it could even begin. The fact that they were thrown in through such a loop with those 2 roamers who just made their lives miserable on that first floor, I mean, it just goes to show that, yeah, there are some pretty massive chinks in the West Garfield armor right now, and it's something that they've got to work on, because clearly just a slight misdrone, not very many adaptations, really no ability to work their way out of the hole they found themselves in. I mean, it was just that one play, the one misdrone that allowed Afer to get misdrone, that allowed Nick to get misdrone, the Melusi who was sitting down below, and it's that West Garfield are going to have to figure out a way to solve as they go forward, because Aqualix, clearly they know something, and they found something that works. Afer is going to keep playing the visual. He's going to keep ratting around and trying to surprise West Garfield if he can. If he can keep doing that, he'll be able to add to his 5-kill tally and stall out this attack before it can even get started again.
Yeah, so far, West Garfield's drone work, which has been a bit of a highlight in their past games, you know, that they've won after the role swap and after they've started winning, is not as prevalent in this game. And whether it's because of their own, lack of drone play, like we saw in the previous round with misdroning Slimy Nick, or if it's because of all this drone denial, either way, it's massively punishing them. Afer just ran out onto Rudy. I think maybe it was from, like, the pantry window onto spawn? Or maybe... Oh, it was Astro window. I mean, he'll get refragged, but still. Vigil for Ace on an AVG defense, Jonah? The only hard breach? I'd take that any day.
Yeah, fantastic start for Aqualix. Even though they do lose a body, it is the body they took down with them that is most impactful. No more Selma charges. We don't see any secondary hard breach gadgets. No can openers on the side of West Garfield. So they'll have to do this one just with some sheer firepower and sneak their way into the site from elsewhere. They do have 4 nades in pocket. They do have a lot of explosive potential from below. We can see another mute jammer that Rice is putting down that is likely going to be the target of Valor or Baring's nades as they work their way in from below. Again, that would have been the target had Rudy still been alive, but without that vault wall really having any shot at getting opened now, they're just going to have to focus those nades on getting some kills. Valor misses the first one. Now cooking up the second, looking to take down Gasher. This one has a chance, actually, heading towards Bar instead, but Rice is not positioned quite that far towards the wall, so he is going to be fine either way.
It almost looked like that nade was to clear off, like, utility, but I'm not sure what utility would be clearing or why that would matter, considering they lost their only hard breach, or maybe it was just a little bit of a misplaced drone. But they're turning their attention now towards main stairs, and Psychosis gonna get aggressive after the utility is thrown at him. Valor and Bio both follow up with kills, and what was an advantage for Aqualix has now devolved into Gasher in a 1 versus 4. The attack will storm up the main stairs. Twist now taking that control, Baring following closely behind. Valor already in books, looking to make his entrance into the site as Gasher now rotates underneath. But Twist is still holding him. I'm sure West Garfield had some flank drones there. And what started out as losing their hard breach, a terrible position for West Garfield, was amended by the fact that Aqualix, again, fall back into their old habits and overpeak.
Old habits, yeah, and I'm surprised to see it here, especially given that we have seen them be so much more disciplined, at least within the first 3 rounds, than we may have expected, right? There were so many instances where they held an advantage and they said, you know what, let's sit back, let's wait. I mean, just think back to round number 1. Again, Aviator and Games defense, a 1v2. They had won the trade game. They had stopped the initial execute, and Baring was last alive. Rather than both of those players swinging out, taking gunfights, and putting their lives in jeopardy, they said, no, sit back. 1 player behind the bar, 1 player sitting in gun vault. They didn't swing, at least for a moment. They waited, and they allowed Baring to just kind of sit there and flounder. Complete opposite here in round number 4, just a moment ago, where West Garfield had very few options at their disposal. Without the hard breach, there's almost nothing you can do to force those defenders out of position. The nades mostly missed. Valor didn't get anything with either of those nades as he tried to clear from below. So much that didn't go West Garfield's way. But like you said, Harrison, Aqualix allowed for those opportunities, allowed for those West Garfield chances, and, well, we saw that West Garfield were more than happy to capitalize. Just click on some heads, and there you go.
And this whole back and forth that we're seeing thus far between these two teams has me a little worried, Joe. Because now that we're halfway through the season, right? Actually, technically past the halfway mark, I no longer have any qualms about using stats because of small sample size. And if we take a look at said stats, Aqualix have a 60% defensive win rate, meaning that, sure, they get a lot of 3-3s, but they get the 4-2 half more often than not. But on their attack, Jonah, that's a 40% win rate.
Oh, boy.
So if they do not take this 4-2 half, I really worry for them. Because on the other hand, West Garfield have a nearly 60% defensive win rate. So just looking at those stats, it's a little worrying if they don't end up going 4-2, but Gasher will shut down Valor. Rudy and Bio with immediate answers. Afer coming back to the site, gets one on Twist, and shuts down that initial site presence, along with Case. Sure, Bio and Rudy are there, but as Baring falls, they're the only men left, and the defenders are sitting on top of that diffuser like a chicken on an egg. Afer again claps back onto Bio. Now he and Nick can just hold a crossfire on this diffuser, but no, Nick's not going to peek. He allows Rudy to pick it up. Plant is going down. They hear it. Nick's going to start pushing, sprinting in. It'll force Rudy off of that plant, and now Afer's getting aggressive too. Rudy needs to isolate these 1v1s. He'll get one onto Nick. Now it's 1v1 against Afer. Afer's got the superior weaponry, but loses the fight. Rudy going huge. I really thought Aqualix shut that round down, but being allowed to recollect the case and isolate those ones gives the advantage to West Garfield.
Well, that's one way to win a round. Good old clutch factor from Rudy. I mean, you give him a DMR, and apparently that's enough. In Siege, those DMRs generally aren't the greatest, but he seemed to have no trouble at all taking those 1v1s and taking the win. Again, Aqualix failing to play together enough, Lack of coordination there in the end. In a 2v1, it is often easy for that one player to exploit individual gunfights. I didn't say easy to win, but easy to exploit those gunfights and allow those opportunities to kind of come back his way, and he did that beautifully. So great job for Rudy, and that's going to put West Garfield over the top here and giving them the lead for the first time. Aqualix no longer able to go to a new bomb site and win it. They tried kitchen and dining, and unfortunately it failed. So they will shift things up and head to trophy and statuary next. But this is a bomb site that has already gone both ways. First, it was West Garfield Park with a rush that kind of caught Aqualix off guard and took the site rather easily. But the second time, it was a roam from Aqualix that put them over the top. West Garfield now, as we see the pretty standard attacking lineup that they have shown most of the time so far, they're really going to have to tidy up this roam clear. They cannot allow this defense to exploit those weaknesses again.
I mean, it's already not looking great for Aqualix, again, just considering their attacking win rate. But, I mean, hey, maybe they can pull something out. Either way, they would really like this 3-3 split. Now, in the grand scheme of things, teams' specific stats aside, Villa has become, more and more even, more and more attacker-sided. It is no longer the defender haven it once was. So if Aqualix get this 3-3, in the grand scheme of things, it's not too shabby. And they're definitely going to be looking for that. Going to be looking for Afer to grab a lot of impact on that roam, duoing with Psychosis on the Cade during their off-stream game. Psychosis, I believe, went 1 in 10. Definitely not looking to repeat that poor performance.
Ooh, Psychosis swings and gets fried. Barring was ready for that, and Psychosis gives his life away. There is still a player nearby to make something happen. That is Afer, who's looking to go again. He'll actually take this fight with Bio, but again, nice little Finka boost gets this attack in fighting shape. It's Valor to actually claim the kill. Gasher here looking like he wants to throw his life away. Yep, there's another player dead. Aqualix really put all their eggs into the let's roam and throw our bodies at the attacker basket here, and well, it did not work at all. It's now a 5v2 with Slimy Nick and Rice last alive. Looks like Nick also wants to get a little bit aggressive, potentially, maybe eager to just jump out this closet window. Rudy is potentially in danger, but he's positioned around the other side of that master balk, so he'll have to wait. Nick will have to wait, that is, before he actually takes this fight. But in the meantime, Rice is alone on the site and in a lot of danger. He'll pick up one, but Rudy takes down his teammate, so Rice knows he has to step up, but he steps up right into the waiting arms of Valor. It's West Garfield who take that roam clear, storm through the defense, and just kind of say, you know what, it's a 5v2. Let's not waste any time in pushing the site.
Not only was it a good roam clear, but it looked like the Aqualix roamers bit off a little more than they can chew, especially because they took those fights individually, right? If they had, tried to maybe pinch on the study peak at the same time, they go 1-for-1, whatever. But Psychosis peaks alone against Barring. Even if he kills Barring, there's backup. Afer then tries to refrag from main stairs, and he's, what was he fighting, like 3 people at once? And it was just Valor who ended up getting that kill. The roamers just kept peeking over and over into the entire team, pretty much. And when you're a roamer, you are looking for those small, disconnected 1v1 engagements. When you're taking basically a 1vx at that point, it doesn't go your way a lot of times. And I would probably be singing a different tune if Psychosis and Afer, maybe both went 1-for-1 or even 2-for-1 on the roam. But the fact that they came away with literally nothing, and because they took those fights, wasted very little time, I'm going to call it a wholly unsuccessful roam. And now it's 4-2-half, exactly what I was worried about. Because Aqualix have demonstrated so far that they just have not been very adept at attacking this map consistently.
Now it's West Garfield on defense, who will look to close this one out as soon as they can. It's Bio who tries to get aggressive a little early. He'll go for a bit of a spawn peek, but comes up with nothing. So it's Rudy's turn. He'll run out the basement, sending it out office and just hunting for some frags, but Aqualix not exposed to that angle. Maybe a couple of seconds later, and Rudy would have picked up something, but instead he exposes his position, so he will likely tuck tail and run back to the site. For now, Aqualix will be looking to work a long clear. They'll have to work their way through Bio, and potentially Twist as well, who's holding over by that brick store, but as Bio drops away, joining his teammate of Rudy down below with that C4, maybe they'll be looking to pressure this attack elsewhere. C4 goes up and it connects, taking down A for Psychosis, only steps away from that position, but he actually manages to stay at full HP, but A for taken down. That is a big loss.
And Rudy, again, showing that despite not playing the game, despite just being a sub, he is still a force to be reckoned with on the map. I mean, 7-4, not just positive, but leading his team in the KD department right now, which is really all you can ask for as a sub, right? Typically, when it comes to those sub roles, a sub on hard support or a sub try to IGL is not the play. Typically, you just stick them on a fragging operator, either direct them with drones or let them play solo, see if they frag out, and if they do, then sick. And Rudy's certainly been doing that, and that's going to leave Aqualix floundering a bit, because not only do they lose the opening pick, which heavily deters their entry game that we've seen. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. If they lose that entry pick, they get slammed. But they're also losing Afer, the only man who is consistently finding kills.
Well, this attack, hoping to get something back. We'll have Nick at the helm trying to get some kills, but he'll take a little bit of damage. It also has Gasher working his way up the 90 hall, supporting Rice, who's looking to get those X-Kairos pellets down onto the gun vault wall. Gonna have to take care of the mute jammer before that, so a nade will go in and deal with that jammer accordingly. Now this angle should be opened up no problem. You do have Barring on the site, using these smokes to delay this attack even further. He's got one more of these smokes in pocket to delay this, but with 45 seconds, Aqualix still have a good bit of time to work with and don't have to push in just yet. They're going to have to locate Twist, though. They're going to have to locate Rudy, but he's been spotted out and now forced to back away. Nick taking that gunfight and winning for the most part. Now Gasher takes a fight onto Barring, who walks out in the middle of the door with a shotgun, and he dies.
That was more than questionable from Barring. I guess wanted to go for a cheeky play, but Gasher's just holding his door, and now you've lost your smoke. Rudy is the next to go down as he tries to send it up main stairs. Gets caught, I believe, by Rice playing in 90, as Gasher now walks in and is getting that plant down. Nick, beautiful coverage all the way into bar, lands a headshot. Rice, another Psychosis, a third, leaving it all up to Rudy, the man who is downed and now picked up. He's got to take this fight on Studybout first and foremost, but he hits Psychosis in the leg, and the Iana simply pops up and finishes him off. Looked like a pretty good West Garfield round to start off with that kill from Rudy, but the hole in the site left vacant. Aqualix stormed through it.
Impressive thing that Aqualix was able to do there was maintaining the pace of that attack despite the early loss. Often, when you lose a player or two on the attacking side, you have this plan, you have a structure of how your entries are going to work your way in the building, who's joining them in. All of that is set up beforehand. And when you lose a player, it can kind of throw a wrench in the whole plan, right? It slows things down, and they might fail to get to the bomb site in time. Aqualix did not fall victim to that same issue. They continued to clear up to 90 with the very same pace they would have with 5 players. They cleared out the players they need to. They forced those roamers back to the site, and by doing that, they left themselves a lot of time on the clock to go for that execute. I highlighted that in the mid-round. There was about 45 seconds to about a minute left on the clock, and Aqualix were pressuring the site, forcing those smokes out already. Not waiting for 20 seconds and then the smokes to come out, forcing Barring to use those smokes to get a little bit active, to get aggressive, and stop that execute. By doing that, they allowed themselves to have a bit more time, and I think that's why the attack looked so comfortable when they actually went for that push.
Yeah, the plan coverage was definitely there from Aqualix. I guess maybe the biggest mistake from West Garfield was evacuating the site as far afield as they did. Again, giving Aqualix that opportunity. But we'll try AVG once again, and this time we'll see a different clear from Aqualix. This time, going master over, hopefully avoiding Rudy's C4. But now West Garfield have shoved men in their face. It's Twist and Biologic on that roam, supported again by Rudy underneath, making sure that they can't get frag grenade from below, maybe even C4 coverage to speak of. Bio getting very aggressive on the window, looking to catch someone, but there's no one there. Twist also playing very far forward, not necessarily looking for a kill, just trying to scare Aqualix from entering the building, and again, waste just that extra couple seconds.
Right, this is a similar strategy that West Garfield employed last time, but it's possible we'll see them try to hold this even firmer than before. It's going to be tough because West Garfield, I mean, they've been droned out. I mean, Aqualix, they spotted out Bio easily. A4 is going to have no trouble whipping out the F2 and getting that headshot. So, well, goodbye Bio, and goodbye what could have been another similarly structured defense. Instead, Rudy is going to have to play this one a bit more passively. He doesn't want to give his life away as free as Bio just did. but he will be holding down this first floor, maybe hoping to stall out these nade players who like to pressure in down below. He'll spot out that drone, so that's going to be why he shoots that out, but that means his position also telegraphed. He'll use this C4 pre-placed in an effort to slow this attack down, maybe get a kill as he works his way in, but he's got to be careful because here comes Slime down below.
Ooh, and it looked like Rudy sending up that C4, opening that hole. Psychosis will use it against him, meaning it's a 3 versus 5 in the favor of Aqualix. The attack still barreling through. You talked about that pace last round. Although it's been inhibited slightly, it doesn't seem like it's affecting Aqualix too much, especially as Rice nabs another. Now it's just Barring and Valor. Barring off-site with 3 smoke babes in pocket. I thought it was kind of doomed to fail, but he will get one on Psychosis. So that's the 90 Repel player now dead. And here coming back to site, those smoke babes finally coming out with about 53 seconds remaining. Again, if you're unaware, the smoke can delay around 10-ish seconds, and you can space them a little farther apart to maybe cover 12 to 15. So if you're a smart smoke player, you can delay far more than 30 seconds. But again, Barring is pushing out of sight. His teammate's going to need that smoke coverage. Valor is not going to be able to stop the push by his lonesome unless he gets, like, a multi-kill C4 or something that he's still got in his pocket. But here comes the smokes once again. Barring somehow still finding himself in a position to use them despite pushing out 90 every single time. An attacker smoke comes out to answer, and with 15 seconds left, Aqualix are going to need to go for it. Valor hasn't been covering the angle. He's backed off very passively. He'll allow the attack in. C4 goes out, but it's shot in midair. Sure, Barring's able to get 1 kill. Valor another, and a second for Valor. That leaves Gasher alone, trapped in the corner with an LMG. He'll nab 1, but runs right into the shotgun of Barring, giving a triple to the smoke, and somehow West Garfield clutch it up.
I think it was a 2v5 at that point in the round. Jeez, I mean, West Garfield putting on a clinic. I mean, you talked about a good smoke player doing the right thing. It was a little concerning that he was trying to play over in 90 and taking the fight from there, but by working his way back to the site, throwing a smoke, going back to 90, pressuring there with the gun, going back to the site, throwing a smoke. By doing that, Aqualix, I mean, it looked like they were a little bit confused. They didn't know what they were dealing with on the site necessarily. They didn't want to clear through 90 because they knew somebody was pressuring there. In a sense, Barring, I mean, made it seem like he was 2 or 3 different defenders. As one player, he at least was able to double the pressure that a normal player would be able to apply by just being in as many positions and as many different positions as possible in the shortest time possible. The one concern there from Aqualix, the one big question mark I've got to ask them is, hey, why didn't you just send it in when you saw him pre-firing you in 90? You've got a 5v1, a 4v1 on the site, even a 3v1. So many chances they had to push into that site when it was understaffed, but instead they waited and allowed just a good team play and some great shots from Valor to put West Garfield over the top.
Yeah, I mean, the thing Barring was doing was actually really interesting. It's like, this may be incorrect. Oh, maybe Tanner can correct me. From what I've heard, they teach you in the military, in order to, if you're outnumbered, often switching positions and blind firing and such to make yourself makes yourself appear as a larger force than you really are, so you don't simply get overwhelmed. And I guess Barring was trying to play that, just kept psyching Aqualix out over and over, despite it being an SMG-11 firing at them from 90 and then a smoke babe to go through onto the doorway. So I mean, it has to be the same player. But either way, it was weird that Aqualix never really took advantage of Barring being off site and rushing Valor. So I mean, now it's a 5-3 advantage for West Garfield instead of the 4-4 that I would have expected during the beginning of the latter half of that round. But at least, if we're going to look at upsides for Aqualix, they have cleared the AVG roam in under a minute. They forced Twist back all the way to top red, and if someone ends up taking this one, well, he is armed with the UMP. Good chance that an Aqualix player can get that opening pick.
And on this match as a whole, another positive for Aqualix is even though they did just probably get quite demoralized by allowing them to get clutched on, they do have the momentum in a sense. I mean, 2 attacking rounds back-to-back where it really looks like they are going to win. Only one of them where they actually do win, but dominant attacking performances nonetheless. If they can just keep up that pattern and keep going with those dominant attacks, they should be in a pretty good spot to at least bridge this 2-round gap and maybe send us to overtime. But West West Garfield, again, we've seen how impactful each of these individual players can be, even in what seem like impossible situations. So now, on the site, it's just both Barring and Rudy really in that position, joined by Valor. Down below, you've got Twist on the castle, looking to stall out any vertical pressure that's coming in from Aqualix, and you've got a bit of a flank being worked now from Biologic. He's on the Jaeger, creeping his way around to the main stairs side, and he might be looking to get aggressive and catch Aqualix off guard. For now, though, the focus is on Twist. He has been spotted out, and Aqualix will be looking to take him down. It's Barring, actually, the first defender who falls.
It is a little odd that the people playing downstairs are Jaeger and Castle. Usually you expect a C4 operator to be there, but Rudy pushes out Boar, gets the trade on Psychosis, shutting down any remaining Rotero drones, but as Twist hits the floor, the attackers start to barrel into the site. Gasher misses a lot of shots on Rudy, isn't able to kill him. Afer hits the floor. Hopefully he's got a boost to pick himself back up as Bio finally comes through with the flank, looking like he'll finish off the downed Afer, get immediately refragged by Nick. Valor and Twist are both on the floor, meaning it's all up to the smoke, and he falls to the LMG. Aqualix making a fast push into sight, seeing that opportunity and taking it, win the round.
I mean, the attacking momentum I talked about was definitely still there for Aqualix. It maybe took them a second, and there were some elements they had to get a grips on before they could actually make that execute, but once they decided to go in, I mean, it really was almost every single gunfight going their way. They just downed everyone and, well, left Rudy in a brutal position to fend for himself. So another strong attack. Like you said at the beginning of that round, Harrison, it was a very expeditious extension clear, roam clear. They worked their way through that study side up through Aviator and Games and just cleared all the way up to 90 pretty quick as far as the grand scheme of the round is concerned. So West Garfield, now it's them who will probably have to do a little bit of thinking about that one, but they'll go back to the site and try to work out what went wrong and maybe correct it if they can.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was a very similar mistake that we saw to Aqualix, where the defenders were just a little too far afield to stop the attackers at the beachhead. It allows Aqualix through. They get the necessary picks into sight. A lot of downs happening across the map as well, and no kills. I think that might be one of the greatest amount of players downed at the same time without being finished off that I've ever seen. I think there were like 3 or 4 people at one point. But either way, Aqualix showing that they're still in this. They're, again, starting to close the gap. They're only 1 round away, although this time there's a lot more drone denial coming out for West Garfield. Not only the Mute, but the Mozzie as well. And now, it's not a Jaeger and a Castle downstairs. Aqualix are going to have to worry about this C4 presence.
Well, Nick trying to get some intel while the Mozzie pest on the other side taunts his drone. Oh, I like this. He actually tries to go up and over. That is super smart. So a teammate shooting out the top of the barricade, the drone able to climb its way up and avoid the pest and the information denial that Bio was hoping to provide. Information denial out of the window, though. There is still a focus on this defense that has to be cleared out, but a wonderful nade from Psychosis will get the job done rather quickly. Twist had no time to react. The nade perfectly cooked the moment it nears that wall, blowing him sky high, and, well, once again, opening up the door for Aqualix to push on through. Bio, though, he is going to make sure his impact is felt somehow. He'll take down Afer, and that is not only pretty much the one player you do want to take care of, but again, losing the Finka early. That's a big operator to take off the board. You no longer have that extra health that aids attackers so substantially when they make those pushes.
And that is a set of nades off the board. So if they, the attackers end up wanting to clear below where we saw Afer position, where we see Gasher right now and Art holding on main stairs, then you've significantly limited their ability to play that vertical game with the nades. And even then, concerning destruction, right? That's a gone 6 down. You've still got a decent amount for Aqualix, but they're going to have to definitely be careful with those. Now, Rudy rotates underneath. He's got a C4 in pocket. He'll go ahead and pre-place it, where we've seen him pre-place it many times before, right outside the board double. Now that the camera's been shot, he's not going to get a lot of hard info on it, but perhaps a teammate can call out for him. I'm not sure if that impact from the Zoe cleared the Nitro cell. It looks like there still might be 2 on the board, but no, I think Rudy just tried to, according to the overlay, just tried to hit it and it did not blow up. Psychosis simply peeks into the site. No one's watching the door for Bio, so he hits the floor, Barring attempts to run out, and Rice is ready for it, meaning it's Valor once again in a 2vx situation. This time Rudy by his side. Rudy's going to peek out, get aggressive. Psychosis doesn't expect it. Psychosis actually dies with a nade in his hand. and ends up team killing Gasher. A lot of times it won't have that indicator when you get killed like that. That's unfortunate, but as Rudy falls, Valor's alone. He gets the planter, looks to transition to Rice, lands the headshot, and Valor clutches up once again to give West Garfield the confirmed point.
Wow, Valor is on something else right now. I mean, that is back-to-back, well, not back-to-back, but two separate instances of Valor proving insanely good in the clutch. Again, it was a 2v1, Valor, one of those players, but this time it was him alone in a 1v2. He had to be the one to get the job done, and, well, he was able to do it. Nice little flashy end as well, taking down the planter, whipping around to that bricks door, and perfectly placed crosshair placement right on the head of the Hibana, who really didn't stand a chance in that engagement. So again, a rocky start for West Garfield. Aqualix, they are looking good on these attacks just until they're not. Just until that coordination falls out the window. It seems like this is a problem that Aqualix have now had on several occasions where they have an advantage, a substantial one even. In the case of these 4v2s and these 5v2s that we've seen, they'll have these substantial margins, and then they just throw all that coordination out the window. They say, just let's send it on in, and that is exactly where Valor has been thriving all map long. West Garfield now on match point.
An inability to close out. Big problem for Aqualix. That's kind of like their two main gripes on attack. One, if they lose the entry, they tend to be hampered a bit. And two, they struggle to close out a lot of these rounds. And I'm not sure if it's just the teams they're playing take advantage of that, transitionary stage between the setup and the actual execute itself, or whether Aqualix may get a little ahead of themselves, forget that the defenders can push back while they set up. But either way, it's been a problem that's plagued them all throughout the stage so far, even past seasons before, and especially that clutch from Valor. I know he's hyped about that because I know he and Rice are part of the, I think, still part of the same friend group. A little bit of rivalry going on there. But again, the main stairs hold that we talked so much about that we actually surprisingly haven't seen, Jonah. I don't know if you were as surprised as I was to not see really any main stairs clears so far. I'm happy to see, if Aqualix can get their stuff together and take barring out economically.
Yeah, it's funny. We prefaced the entire map with that little tidbit, and it seems like every single time we've seen these clears from the master side, right? Clearing up through 90, not bothering to take main and study control as the first approach of the attack. But finally, it looks like all of that will change now as Aqualix have droned out barring several times, are expending some utility on this position, but as such, West Garfield will counter it with some utility of their own. Bio has already used 2 of those toxic smokes to delay any sort of push up the main stairs, trying to hold this off as long as he can. Now the combination of that pressure from that Shumika launcher from Valor to put some flames on those stairs to stall out that pressure. The attack, again, burning utility. We saw a nade just get expended on that position, but something they may not have realized is that West Garfield have backed off. Everyone, they made the call. They said, you know what, let's back off this position. We wasted time. We wasted utility. Now let's just hold the site.
I mean, yeah, over half the round before Aqualix finally storm in and take main stairs, despite not getting any kills. I'd still call that a rather successful main stairs hold. I mean, Gasher's exhausted of nades. Afer only has one more. Psychosis is completely out. Destruction, very limited against a Twist with a BP. Bio and Valor both with shields. A lot of that cover in sight might go undestroyed because of how much Aqualix had to dedicate to that main stairs clear. At least they're still finding info on site. How stale that'll be by the time the execute comes around relies, heavily on defender positioning, but it's barring downstairs to get that opening pick onto Gasher, not only the opener, but dropping Case in his sight line as well. Nick will be able to get away with that Case and leave Barn to his own devices downstairs, but out comes Biologic. One pumps Afer down, a second to finish him off. Nick looking for the refrag, but Barring not exposing himself, looks away at the wrong moment. Bio gets that kill, Twist another, and it all falls on the shoulders of Psychosis in a 1 versus 4. Excellent flick onto Rudy, but is it going to be enough? He'll have to ace to try and win this. Valor is holding so passive on this angle, daring him to push through, and ends up finishing it off. West Garfield will give Aqualix their 3rd loss of Villa, 7-4.
They really should stop going to this map. I think if they could go to Villa again after today, oh boy, that's going to be a troubling one. But for the most part, they played this one solid. They had their moments. They looked